Welcome back to another episode of Frank's Unsolicited Advice. And this week, I want to talk to you about something that is important to me that I felt has been great to me in my life and at work, and it's called leaders and leadership, right? And it doesn't start at work. Leadership is not something that you get at work. It's something that starts at your home. And whether it's good or bad, you have it. You know, I understand not everybody came or has the same background that I do. I get that. I understand that. So it would be impossible for me to believe or feel that everybody had the same upbringing as me or had the same kind of example of what leadership is at home like I did. But I believe we all had something, whether good or bad, we had it. So, for me, and as I said before, I had good parents. They're still alive, so I have great parents. They taught me a lot. My mom and my dad were the best example of what you have to do to take care of a family, and I seen their struggles, and that's they would motivate me to do things when I didn't want to do them. When I was at a point that I could have easily went left, they made sure I stayed right, and they never they always taught me by their morals and their values and everything that made them strong. And that's what I appreciate the most, right? And then, leaders also at school, you had teachers that's supposed to teach you stuff and give you these tools to put in your toolbox. So when you get older, you could use them. Family members, aunts, uncles, friends of the family, all that stuff. That's all part of being a leader. And I feel that sets the tone. So when you get into the real world, you have these certain characteristics, these certain traits that make you or allow you to be a leader. I believe leaders are born. And then we have certain tools in us or skills, I should say, maybe powers if you want, they're fine tuned by the people in our lives to teach us and help us learn how to be leaders and be our own. I looked up the definition online, and there's many different definitions. There's basic answers and stuff, but this one I like. It's from thebalancesmb.com, and it's the definition and examples of leadership. And it says, what is leadership? Leadership captures the essentials of being able and prepared to inspire others. Effective leadership is based upon ideas, both original and borrowed, that are effectively communicated to others in a way that engages them enough to act as the leader wants them to act. A leader inspires others to act while simultaneously directing the way they act. They must be personable for others to follow their orders, and they must have the critical thinking skills to know the best way to use the resources at an organization's disposal. Then an alternate definition is leadership may also refer to an organization's management and structure. But that definition, that first two parts that I read, was awesome. It's right on point for what I believe it is, right? And it made me think about my whole career and the leaderships that I've had. And I tell people all the time, my first command was the best command I've ever been to. It was a pre-com. It wasn't commissioned. It was brand new. It was still being built. The people that I worked for there were awesome men and women. They taught us, know the book, know what the instruction says, go by the guidelines. But they also taught us something as pride in our job. Having courage to stand up when nobody else would, the integrity to hold themselves accountable when need be, owning their mistakes. They never look for excuses of what happened. They own whatever mistake was made, whether it was their fault or not. They owned it and then they fixed it. And I saw a lot of that too as I progressed, through my careers, different commands. I'm not going to say it just happened in my first ship because that'd be wrong to other people that impacted my life that weren't part of my regular job or my first command. But my first command had a lasting impression. To this day, I still hold true to some of the values taught by them. Some of the people that I came across, I can name names, but I'm scared I'm gonna miss one or two people, so I won't. But one person that I know, but it's just so many, to be honest, that came across. And being a young person, first time being away from home, taking this trip, this journey down into something that was supposed to be a stepping stone. It was supposed to be just 4 years and I'm gone. These people were in my life and they were teaching me, and I was spending more time with them than I was with anybody else. My daughter was in New York. I'm single. I'm not married. I don't have a home to go to. At the time, I'm living on the ship. So I get off. I go to, get off work, go take a shower, hang out with my friends, come back to the ship, get dressed. It was just a repetitive cycle that I see these people every day pretty much. And they're just leaving their impression. And you really don't realize it at that point in time that these people that they're leaving their impression in you until you start moving up the ranks and you start progressing and you start making rank. And you're like, man, I'm going to do this like this. Even after they leave or you leave and go to a different place, you're still carrying over the traits that they're giving you. You still bring with you the lessons taught. You're still bringing with you the guidance given, the mentorship, and you carry that with you throughout your career. Whether you stay in the military, you go somewhere else, those traits don't go nowhere. But like I said, it starts at home, right? Because people ask me, well, Frank, how was your adjustment to boot camp? Was it hard? I said, no. My dad taught me right. I had structure at home. So because I had a structure at home, and my aunts taught me how to iron my clothes, my mom taught me how to wash them, my father taught me how to make sure I was maintaining my grooming, and if I had to shave at the time, which I really didn't. I never shaved until I got to boot camp, except one time I shaved my mustache. I let my friend shave it. He cut my lip. It was the worst thing ever. But my father taught me you should get a haircut. Make sure your clothes is ironed when you leave out the door. Be on time. Be respectful. Call people sir, ma'am. When I call you, you come. You don't say what. You respond. You show up. So it's no real different than when you're in the military and they call you, you come. When somebody addresses you, if you don't know, it's sir, ma'am. If they're an officer, if they're enlisted, you call them by their rank, But you show respect at all times. And that's what you're taught at home, if you have that. If you have it. If not, it's okay, because you could always learn it. But that was me. That was my story. That was my leadership that I was given by my parents, was that. So getting into the Navy wasn't hard. My adjustments were something different. My battles and my dealing with transitioning was very different. And even in boot camp, I still remember my RDCs. There was a Petty Officer Leach, first class. I want to say MM1, ABH1. Okay, I'll get back to the ABH1. I forgot his name. But MMC Stigton. And I remember Stigton because he came from Japan. Leach was a fill-in until he showed up. But, I remember those RDCs because they left a lasting impression. They taught us. Petty Officer Leach was hard on us, completely hard on us, all the time. And then when he wasn't on RDC no more, we missed that because he held us to a standard. It's like when you hold somebody and you carry that with you. You do. So as I progressed and certain things I saw with my leadership in my first command that was very special to me. I had an accident in 2001, suffered a gunshot wound, and I was at Riverside Hospital in Newport News. I didn't know if my family was there. Honestly, I felt like I passed out the minute they opened the door. It was on cold November. They're trying to save my life. I'm in the ambulance. They cut my clothes. And when they opened the door, I passed out. I don't know if it was the cold that hit me and I just, passed out, or it was, finally I just passed out. So I did. When I was coming in and out of consciousness, I didn't see my family. I saw friends from work. I saw a senior chief, Haberman, one of my senior chiefs that I had on the Truman. He was by my bedside. He would talk to me. I remember that. And I remember that to this day. And this happened in 2001. So it's been a long time, but that's something I never forget. They were there. My mom said when they arrived to the hospital, my parents and my family, that my chain of command was there to support. That's leadership. Even though the guidelines say that somebody should be there. So I know I'm not stupid to think that, oh my God, but the level of give a F that they showed was more than just a protocol that I have to have somebody there to support his family. It was more than that. And even after that, the relationships that carried over because of it. I remember I left NRD New York, got to the Roosevelt one day. The Enterprise was pier side to us, across the pier. I'm in ordnance control with the OHO at the time was Lieutenant Kerr, and a senior chief shows up, and they say, "Hey, senior, what can I do for you?" And it was Senior Chief Ash, and he goes, "I'm here to see my boy Frankie." He didn't call me AO1 for real. He didn't call me by he said Frankie. Now, if anybody knows me, if you call me Frankie, you know me, and that's how I know you know me, because not too many people call me Frankie. They always either Frank or my last name or whatever. But he called me by Frankie, and they were like, "Oh, was something wrong?" He said, "No, that's my boy. I came to see him." And they were shocked that a senior chief came to see me, right? And we spoke, and I gave him a hug, and then I seen him again. He was at 106. He said he's getting ready to retire, and unfortunately, we lost him. He at the retirement, he ended up passing away. He got very sick, and he wasn't around. But I was luckily, and when I was in Pensacola, I was able to tell him that, to me, he was real leadership. He was a real AO, like aviation ordnanceman. He was really the epitome of what taught me a lot at that time. A lot of heart, a lot of energy, a lot of love, stern, held you responsible, held you accountable when you needed to, but then he praised you when you were supposed to. And I remember those things. They don't forget. And this week at work, we had a situation, and I can't go into it because, you have to get clearance and stuff like that. But it reminded me of that situation with when I was sick and I needed help and I wasn't alone. And to the sailor, I will say this. If you listen, that's leadership. Real leaders just don't come to work, put the uniform on, or come to work, punch the clock, and tell you what to do and then go home. In my opinion, a real leader is always there. It doesn't stop. We don't take it off and, let me just put my uniform in my locker, and when I go home, I don't think about you. No. If we care about a sailor, if we care about a person, we'll give a person everything we have to make sure that person's good. Because at the end of the day, not only is this a business, this is a family. 9 times out of 10, if you're operational, even at work, we're spending more time at work with our coworkers and our sailors and everybody than we are with our own family. So we care. A true leader is going to care. So when you hurt, we hurt. When you struggle, we struggle. If we care, if you're that person, and I'm being honest, we're not going to give 100% of our emotion and time and values to everybody, because some people don't want them, and some people are where they're supposed to be, like my mother-in-law says. They're right where they're supposed to be. So you can't lead everybody the same. It's just not possible. But for the ones that you can, and the ones that are absorbing everything you give them, like knowledge and values and stories as a sponge, and they're taking it in and they're just soaking it up, you put time into those. You do. You don't even waste a beat of it. You give it everything you got because you see the potential in that person. You want that person to be successful. My gun boss that just retired off the GW, Commander Tommy Hennett, I met him when I first got here. Heard of him, but I just met him when I first got here. Great guy. Great man. I mean, another one that just wanted AOs to shine, and he wanted you to be your best you that you can be. And that you don't find that often. Some people just put the uniform on, come in, punch the clock, and they don't care about the people they have under them. So they don't care about the workers. They just care about themselves. And when you have people that give so much of themselves, the OHO himself, Lieutenant Amanda Carter, he's another one. I've known him for a couple of years now. And another guy, take the shirt off his back to give it to you. We have so many that we have on our ship. I don't want to make it seem like we have the best chain of command in the world, but I know who I work with, and I know what I interact with, and I know what we have. So to that sailor, hey, don't worry, we got you. Anything you need, you let us know. But that's leadership, in my opinion. And in my opinion, it starts at home. It starts at home. Whether you have parents, whether or not, there's somebody there in your life that's going to give you something that you're going to either want to do or not want to do. It's there. It's lessons learned. Even in bad experiences, there's a positive. In bad leadership, there's a positive. You just got to look for it. So to all those people out there that had a positive impact in my life as leaders, thank you. Thank you very much, because it's made me who I am today. From my parents, from my teachers, from my family members, friends of the family, leaders that I came across, from my first command to my current command. Thank you. Because at the end of the day, that's how we get better, is to teach each other, to lead each other, to help each other, to mentor. And to my people that work for me, or that, I've had an impact on. Hey, take the good with the bad. Throw the bad away, keep the good. That's another episode of Frank's Unsolicited Advice, and this one's called Leadership. Also, if you get a chance to want to read a book, this book is called Elucidations, and it was written by a good friend of mine, a brother of mine, Gerald C. Lewis Sr. I met him on the Roosevelt. He was at MM1, and we met, and this man gave me some positive reinforcement in a time in my life where it was rough. And no matter we lost contact or not, we still talk. Whenever we talk, we catch up where we left. And it's a good book. It's called Elucidations, The Shining Light on the Concealed Truths of the Bible, Gerald C. Lewis Sr. Go out and get it. Support. And that's it for me this week. Thank you for listening.